We're going to have to install another screw close.
Well, here's an interesting one. Glass top to the cooktop ended up shattering when the customer was cooking, which must have made for an exciting meal. And because it's a gas appliance, we need to make sure that the gas is turned off first before we do anything with this thing. The local shutoff valve should be pretty close by to the appliance itself, so look in the nearby cabinets to see if you can find it. Whenever an appliance incorporates glass, they always make it out of tempered glass to keep from having large shards when something like this happens.
Although tempered glass is a safer alternative to traditional glass, it is still imperative that all traces of the glass are removed from the location to avoid contamination of the food that is prepared there.
But I can imagine, it must have been like playing a real-life version of perfection while they were cooking. And just like anything else, before you install it, pull everything out of the box, make sure everything's there, and make sure there aren't any damages to it before you get started. This is going to keep you from having to stop halfway through the project based on any complications that might come up if there's something wrong with any of the parts. We've got a bit of a tight fit here, but we do want to make sure that we don't damage the outlet while we're trying to pull this cord out.
Care also needs to be given when disconnecting the gas line so as to not twist or damage it in any way.
Because the fittings on the old cooktop are still in good condition, we're going to reuse those and put them on the new cooktop. However, we are going to replace the regulator with the new one just so we don't have any problems in the near future. It's not going to save us much, but it will keep the cost down a little bit. Not all gas regulators or gas supply lines are created equal. That's why when you buy a gas appliance or a gas line, it comes with adapters. So it's important to go through all the adapters to find out which one is going to work with both components.
Because of the difficulty we had in disconnecting the cord earlier, it is necessary for us to remove the oven enough for us to have better access to the outlet and then reinstall.
Typically this wouldn't be an issue, because for the most part, whenever it's a two-piece, the oven is usually installed in a separate location from the cooktop. And the cooktop then ends up being installed above an accessible storage cabinet, which kind of begs the question, why not just put an all-in-one here? This particular cooktop sets in similar to a drop-in sink, where it doesn't require clamps or anything, but it uses a bead of silicone to hold it in place. So we're applying a bead of silicone along the inside edge of the opening and then dropping the cooktop in place and letting it sit for a while before we put another bead of silicone along the outer edge. And since the stainless steel is a decorative surface, all the excess silicone has to come off of the surface. And since the finish is probably going to take a beating, it'll need to be cleaned regularly with a stainless steel cleaner, preferably non-flammable. Unfortunately, when we started testing the operation, it was completely non-responsive. We did check, double check, and triple check every single thing on the appliance, and we still couldn't get it to light, and there was still no gas coming through the stovetop. When we contacted the manufacturer, they were gracious enough to let us know to pack everything up, and they were sending us a new one immediately. So we came back a couple of days later to do it all again. At least with the second time around, we were familiar with the setup, so it didn't take us long at all. We were in and out of there in no time.